For I really enjoy browsing recipes online. I always get so frustrated by realizing that I only get a ramen at my dorm, so why not try a delivery service? This app has two functions in it, and it's called FoodCall. It has a delivery function and recipes function. So I'm mainly in charge of the recipes function. So when you click on this image button, the dashboard will show up, and it has four small sections in it, which are add recipes, ideas, search for recipes, and trending. When you click on the add recipes, you can customize your own recipes. For example, like I want to make a cupcake. So how do you make a cupcake? Grab a cupcake from Walmart, get rid of the package, place on the table, and you're done. I think this is how we do the cupcake, right? So when you click submit, it will store it in our database. So when you search for recipes, your cupcake will show up. And the most challenging part for me is doing the navigation drawer. I didn't expect it would be this hard when I thought about it. It has four UIs in it. It has the header, the bar, menu to include all the items, and a main body. So when you click on my account, the user's account will show up. And when you click on home, it will return you to the main menu. But the drawer didn't really function that well. And even the red dot is fake because you don't really have any notifications at this time. And I think the most challenging part of this app is finished by my partner, and he's been working so hard on it. So he has more interesting stuff to introduce to you guys.
In order to communicate between our app and the database, we use a package called OKHTTP. What OKHTTP does is that it takes in the variables from here and sets it to title, username, recipe text, and the button, which basically we set an on-click listener. This on-click listener then reads our text and then adds it into our URL. This URL is basically saying that it's running this file, which is add recipe.php, which is at home on my desktop running. And then it basically gives the author ID, the username text, which is basically the username, and it goes into hash code to give you the ID and the title, two strings that, and the recipe text. Basically, after it builds it and then runs it, and basically executes it, and then once it gets the return string of OK, it finishes, which basically encloses it out of the recipe send. Then it would send the entire thing over to my PHP file, which will process the data and put it back into the database. What happens is when you go to recipe view, what it does is that basically I am dynamically creating the view finder. Basically, I'm getting this URL, which is again from home, and it's running something called gettitles.php. If you see here, if I run this URL link, I get this JSON file. So what happens is that when you run this link, the PHP file returns out the JSON file of all the database. So what happens is that it runs through all the array, and for each value, each like JSON file in this array of JSON files, it creates a new text view for the title and a new recipe text view for the entire for the data points here, which is like, for example, this is the title, and then this is the actual recipe text. So basically, because of this, I have this entire thing in a linear layout, which will make it go up and down. This thing was actually kind of challenging because I never actually dynamically created it. It was really interesting trying to connect this into HTTP because internet connection is something that I haven't done. With our delivery app, we have most of the stuff done. We're using the Java API, which is basically the Google's API, which is Google Maps. And basically what it does is that right now it can detect your location and I can send it using longitude, latitude. I haven't created the .php file, so right now you cannot order a delivery and you can't receive it, but in the future that will happen. As you can see here, if I go to delivery and this loads, you can see that it shows the pointer at the location where I am. And then my computer is kind of slow right now, but in theory, it sees that this is a marker in Champaign because that's my location. I know the latitude and longitude, and then in theory, I can send it to the database. The database can receive it, and then it can just display. In theory, this should go in the same idea as how we did before for the recipes. Something that was really challenging was getting the HTTP thing to work, because basically I'm just sending JSON file and pasting it dynamically onto the website. PHP was something that I wasn't really confident in, but it was really fun figuring it all out, especially SQL, because I haven't done SQL either. Thanks.